The diplomatic mission to the Kepler Research Station had been proceeding smoothly until the accident in Laboratory 7. Dr. Yethkar, the station's chief xenobiologist, had been demonstrating their latest specimen preservation techniques when a containment seal failed, releasing a spray of crimson fluid across the sterile white floor. "Apologies," Dr. Yethkar chittered nervously, his 6 arms working quickly to contain the spill. "Minor hydraulic failure in the specimen chamber. Nothing to concern." He stopped mid-sentence. The human delegation had gone completely still. Ambassador Lisa Chun, who had been laughing a colleague's joke just moments before, was now standing motionless, her head turned toward the spreading pool of red. Her breathing had changed, deeper, more controlled, and something primal had shifted in her posture. But it was her eyes that made Dr. Yethkar's exoskeleton begin to tremble. The human's pupils had dilated to nearly twice their previous size, turning her brown eyes into dark pools that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. She was staring at the blood with an intensity that made every alien in the room take an involuntary step backward. "Ambassador Chun?" Dr. Yethkar ventured, his voice barely above a whisper. Chun blinked once, slowly, and when she turned to look at him, the Kepler scientist felt his survival instincts scream warnings that had been silent for millennia. Every predator-prey response his ancestors had evolved was telling him to run, hide, or play dead. "What species?" Chun asked quietly. "I what?" "The blood." "What species?" Her voice had dropped to a lower register, and there was something in her tone that made the temperature in the room seem to plummet. "Terran bovine," Dr. Yethkar stammered. "From your own world. We were studying the coagulation properties for medical research." Chun paused, considering how to explain. "Well, blood usually means something is wounded, which could mean danger, or it could mean, well, an opportunity. Our brains are wired to pay very close attention to that kind of information." Dr. Valmora spoke up shakily. "Your species' idea of paying attention involves a complete neurochemical transformation that turns you into what our instruments read as apex predators." "Only temporarily," Chun assured her, "and only when triggered by specific stimuli. Blood, certain sounds, particular types of movement patterns, signs of weakness in potential prey. In dangerous situations." The room fell into stunned silence as the implications sank in. Ambassador Commander Thoxwan asked carefully, "What other stimuli trigger this response?" Chun exchanged glances with her fellow humans, who had returned to their normal, friendly appearances. "Oh, she said with a smile that suddenly seemed far less reassuring than it had minutes before. "The usual things. Fear pheromones, distress calls, running motion, injury markers." She paused thoughtfully. "Pretty much anything that suggests something is vulnerable and trying to get away." The Kepler station staff made a mental note to update their diplomatic protocols immediately. The other humans in the delegation had similar reactions. Their pupils dilated, their breathing shifted, and they all turned toward the blood with the same focused intensity. Dr. Valmora, the station psychologist, was frantically taking readings on her scanner. "Impossible," she whispered to her colleague. Their brain chemistry just shifted completely. Adrenaline, noradrenaline, dopamine. Their entire neurological profile changed in seconds. Commander Thoxwan of Station Security had quietly activated the emergency lockdown protocols. He'd never seen anything like this, but 40 years of military experience told him he was looking at predators who had just caught a scent. "Ambassador," he said carefully, "is everything normal?" Chun seemed to shake herself back to awareness. The intense focus faded. Her pupils contracted to normal size, and she returned to the pleasant diplomatic demeanor she'd maintained throughout the visit. "Oh yes, perfectly normal," she said with an embarrassed laugh. "Sorry about that. Humans have some interesting evolutionary responses to blood. We spent a few million years as hunters, and some instincts are harder to shake than others." Dr. Yethkar was reviewing his scanner data with growing horror. "Ambassador, our readings suggest your entire delegation experienced a massive neurological shift. Heart rate increased by 40%, muscle tension rose dramatically, and your sensory processing enhanced to levels we thought impossible for your species. Yeah, that sound about right, Chen nodded casually. We call it the zone, or tunnel vision. Happens when we detect potential threats or hunting opportunities. Nothing to worry about. We're perfectly safe. But you were all staring at bovine blood with the same expression our ancestors used when stalking prey.